To QB or not QB? That is the question these days at Dove Valley. Hi, I'm Troy Renck, joined by my colleague, Nicki Jhabvala. Everything around Dove Valley these days centers on Peyton Manning, and he's not even playing. He got out of the cast on his left foot. He's in a boot, but he made it very clear. I was with a group of reporters that talked to him midweek. He's not sure when he will return. He offered no guarantees that he will be back. It's clearly not going to be for the Raiders game. He's going to get out of the walking boot on Friday night, starts his rehab Saturday. That's a 7 to 10 day rehab. The earliest he could be back then, just mapping this out, would probably be the Pittsburgh game, and there's no idea what his role would be when he comes back. Speaking of which, I think Brock Osweiler is the starter, Nicki. What have you seen? How is the team different under Osweiler?
Well, this offense is much more like what Gary Kubiak envisioned when he installed it in January. You have the balanced attack with the running game and the passing game, and you look at the rushers. I mean, they're performing as well as they ever have, CJ especially.
Yeah, they're averaging 5.3 yards a carry right at that, 3.7 with Manning. They're under center more. They're more comfortable. C.J. Anderson, everyone's going to remember the 48-yard walk-off home run, if you will. But what's behind this resurgence? It's been going on for a few weeks now.
Well, what's interesting is statistically, his season is starting to mirror last year where he came alive in November. But he's no longer the starter. You know, granted, he's technically splitting snaps with Ronnie, but he's not the starter, and I think he kind of likes it. Since that Green Bay game, his numbers have improved dramatically. He went from averaging 2.3 yards per carry to, or 2.7 yards per carry to 6.3. And he's had all 3 of his touchdowns since then.
I don't think you can discount being under center. The running backs are, a little reluctant to talk about it, but the reality is this: they have better vision when the quarterback's under center. And in the zone blocking, the way that you read the block, it allows you that split second to know when to cut back. You can see it, and you could tell before when Manning's standing in front of him, he's 6'5". Right. Maybe they're a little late on the cut. I don't know if you prescribe to that theory, but something's working.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're finding their lanes, they're picking their spots, and they're bolting upfield. You could see it in those 2 plays where he had those touchdowns last Sunday, where he would find his spot and he would cut upfield. And they were quick. He had that jump cut, and then he had one where he just bolted through the line. And that's what Gary Kubiak wanted with us. So.
Yeah, he's bouncing off tackles. This week they go to San Diego. Here's a crazy stat, Bronco fans. The Broncos have not lost an AFC West divisional road game since 2011.
That's crazy.
Chris Harris has never lost a divisional road game. They've got to get Demaryius Thomas going. It was very clear to me that Brock Osweiler, in working with Emmanuel Sanders last week, they developed a connection in practice. DT needs to get it going. You can't pay him that kind of money and have him perform the way he did. I believe he will bounce back. Can he do it against the Chargers, who suddenly are showing signs of life? I'll talk with Cameron Wolfe about that when we return. Broncos travel to San Diego this weekend. Might be the last time they go there. There's a possibility that the Chargers could relocate. Eventually, somebody's going to relocate to Los Angeles. I mean, Raiders, Rams, or Chargers. I'd hate to see San Diego go off the road trip schedule, one of my favorite trips. But they finally got a win. Phillip Rivers, in this miserable season, continues to play well, and I understand he has a connection to Brock Osweiler?
Yeah, you're right. Phillip Rivers has been balling. It hasn't gone to the win record, but he's been doing well. They do have a connection. Their offensive coordinator was the same in college, Noel Mazzone. Phillip Rivers went to NC State. He spent his senior year with Noel Mazzone there, and Brock spent the last 2 years at Arizona State with Mazzone. And when Osweiler was going through his draft and preparing, he flew out to UCLA, where Mazzone was the offensive coordinator at the time, and Rivers met up with him. And they talked. They shared some tips. Rivers watched film with him, threw the ball around, and they drew that connection. I talked to Rivers this week. He said they still talk every once in a while, send text exchange, good game, hello, all different stuff. And he liked them coming out of college, and he was really impressed by his win against the Patriots.
Well, Rivers has been the villain around here. Unfortunately, the rivalry's gotten a little lopsided. Ever since Peyton Manning came into the Broncos fold, Rivers hasn't beaten him other than one time, and so been a little lopsided. Speaking of lopsided, the Chargers don't run very well. How could that help the Broncos this week, given that they're dealing with some injuries?
Yeah, you're right. They're dealing with some injuries, so it's going to be imperative for the Broncos to play good pass defense. That'll be their number one threat. Rivers has been video game-like numbers, even though the Chargers have been struggling. He's thrown for over 300 yards in more than half of their games this season. Antonio Gates is going to be the key target. Stevie Johnson should get some targets as well. So the Broncos secondary will have to be up there. This will be they're playing another elite quarterback after playing Tom Brady. So this will be a guy where even though they're banged up on the injury front, the Chargers are, they'll still have a quarterback who can make plays with lesser talent. And it'll help because they can't run the ball very well. They have a Ricky and Melvin Gordon back there in the backfield, but he hasn't had a great year. I think they're in the bottom 5 teams in the NFL as far as rushing offense, and that's good for the Broncos. As you mentioned, they have the injuries, T.J. Ward and Sly Williams.
Right.
How will that look for them this week?
Well, I don't expect T.J. Ward or Sly Williams to play. T.J. was going to try it late in the week, but again, they signed an extra safety this week, Josh Bush, to bring in depth. Don't look for either of those to play. DeMarcus Ware surprised me. He looked good in practice earlier this week. Based on where he's going, I would say there's a really good chance he's going to play and start. That will help. Shaq Barrett and Shane Ray have given him a boost, but let's be honest, DeMarcus Ware provides a different level of not intensity, but leadership, and the guys rally around him. But when you look at this game, this is one of those games that Denver can't slip up. Last time when they had the big game against the Packers, they had a letdown. How do they avoid that?
Yeah, that's the key thing. You come into this game and it's easy to get confused by a record. 3-8 Chargers team coming in, but this is a division opponent. Talk to Rivers, and he's a fired up guy. He's a competitor. You ever talk to him, he's gonna let you know that he wants to win. Told me he didn't matter if they were 0-50. They want to come in there and beat the Broncos. So this is a game where the Chargers are gonna give it all they got. And when you play this way, you just knocked out the Patriots. You become that team with your level where every team you play that's out of the playoffs, this is their Super Bowl. So they'll come in there and they'll get the Chargers' best shot. So they have to come into this game with the same mentality they had against the Patriots and come full force, maintain their balance, maintain their identity on offense, and play well on defense to make sure Phillip Rivers doesn't have those big plays and go off and make this a shootout.
Yeah, you bring it up. Everything's on the table for the Broncos in terms of they still have an outside chance for AFC top seed, but you'd hate to lose that number 2 seed.
Yeah, and get that first round bye.
Right, that first round bye is huge that time of year because of injuries. So Brock Osweiler gets the start again. Obviously, it's trending in the direction that he will stay the starter based on A, the way he's played, and B, Peyton Manning doesn't know when he will be back. But an important divisional game as the Broncos look to go to 10-2. For the DPTV, I'm Troy Renck with Cameron Wolfe.